Mr. Blue wants to open his own business. Episode 5. Mr. Blue wants to better understand the Norwegian market. Part 1. In the last episode, Mr. Blue found what are the two most used types of companies in Norway. In order to advance his project, he now has to better understand the Norwegian market because he knows the customers are the center of any new business. Once again, Mr. Blue visited the Statistics Sentralbyrå to collect some information about the Norwegian population. He knows that his customers in Norway will be somebody in the middle of the people who live here. This is what he discovered. The Norwegian population. Mr. Blue found that there were more than 5.3 million people living in Norway on the 1st of January 2020. Life expectancy at birth. He can also see that people in Norway live longer than before. For example, if you were a woman born in 1946, you would expect to live, on average, almost 73 years. Now, you will live almost 85. Soon, there will be more old people in Norway than children. When opening a new company, everybody should pay attention to this, thought Mr. Blue. In this image, Mr. Blue can see how many people live in Norway by age and gender, both in 1990 and 2020. For example, in 1990, there were around 120,000 women between 45 and 49 years old. In 2020, there are around 180,000 women between 45 and 49 years old. The immigrants in Norway. He can also see that, like him, there are more than 790,000 immigrants living in Norway. This is almost 15% of the population. The largest number of immigrants come from Poland, around 100,000 people. When looking at people moving to Norway and people moving out of Norway, Mr. Blue understood that the difference between the number of immigrants moving to Norway and the number of Norwegians moving abroad is around 25,000 people. That's the growth in the population because of immigration. Mr. Blue now knows the impact of immigration in the Norwegian population. When he looked at births and deaths in Norway, if there were no new immigrants in Norway, the population would only grow by around 10,000 people per year. Here are Mr. Blue's first conclusions. First, there are more than 5 million people in Norway. Second, the population is getting older. Third, immigration makes the population grow faster. There will be more people to work and buy products. Mr. Blue thought, where do all people in Norway live? On January 1st, 2020, there were more than 2.4 million households in Norway. A household is a place where one or more people live together, even if they are not a family. Looking at the types of households, Mr. Blue found out that almost half of the households in Norway have only one person. By looking at their age, Mr. Blue sees a lot of people living alone in Norway. They are a very special market niche. For example, when Mr. Blue compared two different households having the same annual income of 400,000 kroner, the one with only one person had much more to spend than the one with 4 people. Mr. Blue will come back to salaries and consumption in the next episode. But before that, in the next few slides, he will share what he found about marriages and debts in Norway. Norwegians living alone means they are not getting married as before. This map shows that even the couples living together are not all married. 30% of the couples in Norway cohabit. When looking at the causes of deaths in Norway, Mr. Blue discovered that Norwegians are dying from different causes than some decades ago. As the image shows, they have less heart attacks, more cancer, and respiratory diseases. Here are Mr. Blue's other conclusions. 4. People in Norway have decided to live more alone. The market grows when people have more money to spend. 5. Norwegians are living longer and dying of other diseases. Understanding the Norwegian market is very important for Mr. Blue. He's very happy with the 5 conclusions he got so far. He wants to identify the local people's needs and problems before he opens his company. In the next episode, Mr. Blue will continue his market study and learn more about Norwegian consumption.